Hi yogi friends, so glad you're here to practice with me today. It's Cathy here, and I am going to do a practice today that involves a lot of side body work with some poses that I haven't incorporated quite as much in previous videos. So we're going to do some lengthening and strengthening of the side body, and that also requires some core strength too, which is always good to work on. So let's get started here. Come into your easy seat. If you need a little support behind the tailbone, as I do, just with a rolled up towel. Hey Peanut, did you come to practice with us? You can use that. That can be helpful. I would definitely suggest having a block or two for today because we are going to use those, I think, quite a bit in one particular pose. So get comfy here in either your cross-legged seat or whatever other comfortable seat works best for you today, and close the eyes, drawing attention to just the temperature in the room to start. Feel the air against your skin. And just notice how that feels. And then we'll come to notice the points in the body that are resting and grounded on the surface beneath us. The points in the feet, the ankles, the legs, and the bum, where gravity has us securely fastened. And take notice of any sensations in the body, any tingling, numbness, soreness, energy that you notice. Take some attention to the spine. We want a tall, straight spine from down in the pelvis, up through the back, the neck, and all the way through the crown of the head. And then finally, let's settle the attention on the breath. Notice the pacing of the breath, the depth of the breath. And let's take a couple full belly breaths here, really filling up the abdomen like a balloon. And exhaling fully and completely by drawing the navel toward the spine as we exhale. Let's do that twice more. One more big inhale and we'll chant Om together to open our practice. Om. Just feel the vibration of that chant and let it remind you, or be a reminder, of the life force that is present within each and every one of us, connecting us all to each other and to every other living creature. And then when you feel ready, let's open the eyes gently and slowly. And let's begin with some warm-ups here. Lifting arms up above the shoulders, allowing space between the ears and the shoulders, and clasping the hands and then turning the palms to face the ceiling. And we will lift up, pressing through the palms, lift up through the crown from the base of the spine and really lift everything up tall. And again, allowing space between the shoulders and ears. Sometimes we want to do this and we really want to allow some space there. And as we release the hands, we're going to twist to one side and think of lengthening up through the crown on your inhale, and then glancing toward the shoulder and back on your exhale. Lifting the hands just a bit to make sure you're not pressing yourself into this. We don't want to overstretch beyond what the muscles are capable of doing on their own here right now as we warm up. Let's come back to center, bringing the arms back up tall again, and we'll twist to the other side. Lengthening up on the inhale again, and glancing over that back shoulder on the exhale and holding here. Again, maybe lifting the hands just as a reminder not to press into this twist, but use the muscles of the midsection to hold us here. And then raise the arms back up to center again. And then we're going to lower the arms down to shoulder height, turning the palms toward the ceiling. We're going to bring the fingertips to the shoulders, pressing the hands out as we lengthen through the fingertips and really drawing the fingertips in with creating some pressure there is what I'm trying to articulate. So we're pressing out as if we're having to press against something to lengthen the arms, and then pulling, activating those upper arm muscles as we pull in. So in order to do this more forceful action, it does require you to do this move just a bit slower, because we're creating some extra activity just through the pressing and pulling action. Let's drop the elbows down by the ribs and begin to make some circles with the elbows and shoulders. We're going to open up the shoulders here. Since we're working with the side body today, shoulders are an important part of that. And they're going to be doing some strength work too, so we want to make sure and warm them up. Next time that the elbows are down by the ribs, let's reverse the circle. And again, trying to allow space between the shoulders and ears so that we're not creating more tension there. We want to be working out the kinks, not creating more of them. One more circle here. And then when the elbows are down at the ribs, let's release the hands down to the mat and have them probably about 12 inches out from the hips, wherever the fingertips reach in a nice natural position away from the body. Sort of like an upside down V from the fingertips to the crown of the head to the other fingertips. And from here, we're going to drop the chin down toward the chest, keeping the spine straight from the base of the neck down to the tailbone. And just hold here for a moment, really feeling that movement in the back of the neck and the upper shoulders and traps. And now we're going to take one ear over to one shoulder. You decide which one. And just close the eyes here if it feels right. And feel that side of the neck that's opening up opposite the side where you are tipping the ear toward the shoulder. This is a particular point where I like to remind people that if you're feeling any pain, then you want to back away from this particular pose. Discomfort is different than pain, and only you know the difference, but a little discomfort is the body giving us a message that we need to pay close attention there. Carefully continue. But once that discomfort crosses into pain, it's the body telling us to back off and make an adjustment or leave that move out for today. Let's drop the chin back down to the chest, and then we'll rock the opposite ear over to the opposite shoulder. The reason I bring up pain in the neck here is because the neck has so many muscles and so many vertebrae and so many nerves, and it's just a very delicate part of the body. So, and people have a lot of tension and sometimes former injuries or current injuries there. So we just want to be very aware of what's happening and listen to what the body's telling us, the messages it's sending us to protect the neck. And then holding here for a couple more breaths. Really noticing where you feel this. If it feels good for your body, for your neck to rock the neck just slightly forward and back, you can do that. But if it feels better to stay in a still static position, do that. Let's rock the chin back down to the chest again. We're going to lift the head upright. And lifting arms up again and pressing down. Lifting arms up again and pressing down. Up once more and pressing down. And then again, we'll lengthen arms directly out from the shoulders. Turn the palms to face the ceiling and then bend the arms at 90 degrees. Turn the palms to face forward now. And we're just going to lift the elbows and shoulders up so that the hands come right one in front of the other. So the hands cross, and then we'll come back down to this 90 degrees. Now, if you would like to open the shoulders a bit more, you can bring the palms and elbows back just an inch or two, and you'll feel some opening in the front of the chest and the shoulders. And then bring the hands up. As you bring the hands up, if you've moved the palms back as they were below, you'll want to obviously bring them forward again. And then as you open wide, like opening your wings, then you can bring the palms and elbows back slightly. And then as we lift back up again, we'll bring them forward again. So just opening up that whole shoulder girdle area and the pecs a little bit here as we're getting ready for some larger muscle activity. Just getting things going, letting the body know, hey, we're getting ready to ask you to do some things that you may not do every single day. One more of these, and let's lower the hands down. We're going to do some hip circles here while we're seated. So this just means that we're bringing the torso toward one knee and then across between the knees to the other knee. And then we're going to sit back and use the abdominals to hold us up as we lean back a bit and then continue to circle around. So again, just opening up around the hip joints here. And also giving a nice little wake-up massage to those abdominal organs. Good for digestion. And if you're like me and you have a little teeny dog in your lap, this might be a good massage for him too. I was just realizing he's getting a nice little back rub. Let's do one more circle on this side. And when you come to that knee that you started on, and if you don't remember, that's okay. When you come to one knee, let's just reverse our circle. So we're going to take these circles the other direction. Notice how this feels in the hips. We don't want to try to go so far that the hips come way up off the floor when we move forward. So be aware of that. I'm going to try to keep the sits bones down. They do raise up a little bit, but just think of trying to press them back and down. And then also, when you are in that forward movement and this backward movement, I want to try again to think of keeping a tall spine here. And obviously there's a bend right at the base of the hips are, but we want to be lengthening our spine. That's probably a better way to describe it. One more of these circles, and then we'll come back up to our center. And from here, let's lengthen arms directly out in front, make some loose fists. Just do some circles with the wrists here. You might hear a little snap, crackle, pop, and as long as there's no pain, that's okay. Let's reverse that circle. And you can often feel those forearm muscles waking up here. Let's put the hands, palms directly forward with fingers facing the sky. And then we'll drop the fingers down toward the floor and press out through the wrists. Think of bringing the shoulders back into the sockets as we do this movement. Fingertips up on the inhale, down on the exhale. Up on the inhale, down in the exhale. And again, this is just kind of waking up the forearms. We're going to be doing some arm work here, so we want to make sure that the arms are warmed up and ready. The next time that the fingertips are upright, let's turn them so that they face out to either side of the body. Inhaling here, exhaling as we bring the fingertips in. And notice if the sensation is a little bit different in the forearms with this movement than with fingertips up and down. Just continue that movement for a few seconds. And then we'll lower fingertips down again. And from here, sorry Peanut, gotta move you buddy. We're gonna do a bit of another little bit of a hip stretch. This is informally called the leg baby. And it might mean that you simply lift your leg just a little bit and rock it back and forth. And if you have the capabilities in your practice day to lift the leg up closer to the body and rock it back and forth, then you can. What we'd like to focus on here is keeping the spine tall while we're doing this. So if that means that the leg is right down here and you're rocking back and forth and opening up that hip joint, that's great. If it means that you can come a little closer, that's super too. Some folks can even bring the foot right into the elbow. So there are lots of variations on this here, but the idea is to be opening up this hip, which you can do having the leg a little bit lower. It does intensify things to bring it up a little bit higher. So work with your body where it is today and just give that little leg baby a rock back and forth so that you can open up that hip. You can even rock a little forward and back if that works for you. And then we'll lower that leg down and we'll grab the opposite leg. And again, I'm going to remind everybody to have a tall spine. Grab the leg wherever it works for you today and just give it a little rock. So one hand is around the ankle or the foot. If you are in a position where you can bring that foot to the elbow, go for it. That is not in my practice today, but it might be in yours. And you'll probably notice that one leg you can bring closer to the body than the other, or that one you may feel the sensation in a really different place than the other. And again, if you want to do the rocking back and forward, you can do that as well. Side to side, rocking back and forth, side to side, whatever feels best to you. And then we'll bring that leg back down. Let's open the legs wide like a V, drawing the arms up tall and then lowering down. And let's bring one sole of one foot just inside the upper thigh or just above the knee of the opposite leg. If you can bring the heel all the way up to touch the groin, that's great. If not, just trying to get it on that upper thigh works. And lengthen up through the spine, raise the arms up above the shoulders, turn the torso toward these upturned toes on the extended leg, lengthen up and then bend from the waist toward the toes. Think of trying to draw a line between your nose and your toes. Your nose is reaching for your toes. And once you've gotten to the edge, your edge, bring the hands to rest on either side of the leg. Again, think of lengthening up through the crown on the inhale. And as you hold here for a moment, you may find that you walk the fingertips maybe just a tiny bit forward and bend a little further, and you may not. You may even want to come back just a bit. So listen to the sensations from your body and what they're telling you today. Let's come out by raising the arms back up tall and lowering them down, and then we'll switch legs, bringing the opposite leg to bend, opposite foot just inside the upper thigh, turning the extended toes right up toward the ceiling, lifting the arms up straight above the shoulders, turning the torso toward those upturned toes, and then leaning from the waist toward the toes. Nose toward toes as you reach your edge. Lower the palms down on either side of the leg and just hold here. And again, think of pressing the sits bones down, lengthening up through the crown, keeping a flat back as much as you can. If you choose to walk the fingers forward and that works for you, do so, or maybe even walking them back. And to come out, we'll lift the arms back up tall once again and lower them down. Let's come into a tabletop position on hands and knees. And we want to spread the fingertips nice and wide, really gripping into the mat with the fingertips and the thumb pad. So the hands are kind of like little spiders on your mat. Nice straight line from crown to tail. Knees directly under hips, feet directly behind knees. Drawing the navel toward the spine to support that low back. And notice the distance between shoulders and ears again. Just notice that. We want to keep distance there if we can. Let's drop the belly, raise the crown and the tail. You can rock forward and back on the hands and knees here just a bit if you'd like. Just holding in that cow position, and then let's draw navel up to spine, pressing into the base of the palms, the tops of the feet and the knees, really pressing. So we can draw that navel up to the spine and curve the spine toward the ceiling. Again, if you want to rock here in this position just a bit, that may feel nice. On an inhale, let's drop the belly. We'll pick up the pace here. On an exhale, navel to spine, spine to ceiling. Inhaling, drop the belly. Exhaling, curving the spine. Inhaling, dropping the belly. And exhaling, curling the spine. Let's do this once more. Inhale, drop the belly down. And exhale, curve the spine towards ceiling. All right, from here, let's take just a moment to come into a wide-legged child's pose. So widen the knees as wide as the mat. Bring the big toes to touch one another. Bring the hips back to the heels. And allow the arms to just relax and rest right out in front of you in an extended child's pose here. Notice your breathing pattern. Just see what the breath is doing at the moment. Let's come back up into our tabletop position here. We're going to curl the toes under behind us, come up into a down dog. Go ahead and pedal the feet, meaning press one heel to the mat as you bend the opposite knee. And this should provide a bit of an opening feeling in the back of the calves. We're stretching the Achilles. Down dog is also a great stretch for anyone who has experienced plantar fasciitis because it helps to stretch that plantar muscle beneath the arch of the foot. Let's press one heel toward the mat and bend the opposite knee super generously and then stay there for just a moment. Think of those spider hands again. Think of lengthening the crown of the head toward the front of the mat and allowing space between shoulders and ears again. And now let's switch. Press the opposite heel toward the mat. Bend the other knee super generously. Feel that opening in the back of the leg. Nice. Lengthening from crown to tail here, keeping those spider hands engaged. And now let's bring both heels to press toward the mat. Maybe bringing the big toes a little closer to one another, allowing some opening between the heels. This also allows a little bit of rotation in the hips. And bringing the feet back to parallel, we're going to come into a plank. In order to do that, we just come up onto the toes and bring the weight forward onto the hands. And when I get here, I need to readjust my feet a little bit so that I can come into a strong plank where my shoulders, wrists, elbows are all in a straight line. And I have a straight line from the crown of my head to my bum, to my tailbone, and then out to my heels. And this takes a lot of upper strength, which isn't my strong point. So if you get to a point where you need to have the knees down to come into your plank, just to hold it there, you can do that for a moment. And then let's come back up to this plank, taking the weight onto the right palm and pressing the left palm, moving it right down in front of the face. We're going to come into a side plank. So my version is to turn onto the outside of the back foot, the inside of the front foot, and then lengthen the top arm up over the shoulder. Some people can stack the feet, and some folks can lift the top leg. This is the version that works for me. And then we'll lower that top arm back down, coming into our plank again. Let's take another wide leg child's pose. Just give a little rest to the arms because it's a lot of arm strength we're using there. And we'll come back up to our tabletop, maybe moving the palms one palm's length forward, and then curling the toes, coming into the down dog. And after our down dog, coming back into our plank. This time you'll see, if you're watching the video, you'll see the back side of my body as I do this one. So I'm moving the weight now onto my left palm, bringing the right palm right under my face, and then turning onto the outside edge of my right leg, right foot, and the inside edge of my left foot. And the left foot's right in front of the right as I lengthen that left arm up above the left shoulder. And again, lengthen from crown down to tail, down to heels. And then we'll bring the left arm back down, coming into our plank. Let's lower the knees. Take another child's pose here to rest those arms. And if you'd like to, you can even open the shoulders a little bit and stretch those triceps a bit by bending the elbows so that you can bring the hands into a prayer position in front of the head. And then you can raise that prayer position up over the back of the head. And you can walk the elbows forward an inch, pressing them gently into the mat. And if you'd like to intensify a little more, you can press the fingertips and the thumb pad all into one another so that the palms are pressing away from each other, giving you just a little more opening there in the shoulders. You could even move the hands pressing against one another in this way. You can move them a little forward toward the front of the mat and then toward the back. Just be gentle with yourself. Let's release the hands if you're in that spider position. And let's come back up to our tabletop. Let's come again into a down dog. A little pedal of the feet there if that feels nice to you. And we're going to walk forward into our forward fold. So just walk the feet up toward the hands and hang in your forward fold. Give yourself as much bend in the knees here as is necessary. And think of the back of the thighs, the hamstrings. They might be talking to you saying, bend the knees a little more, a little less. You can bend them so much that the torso even rests on the thighs. If you want to play with straightening the legs for a moment and then bending again, that can sometimes work towards straight legs if that's something that you want to work toward. This is a spot where you may want to have a block in front of you. We're going to do an IT band stretch. So let's bring the left palm directly down either on the floor in front of the face or on a block. And we're going to bend the left knee very generously and straighten the right leg. Taking the right hand inside the left wrist and just pulling it across the inside of that left arm, adjusting the left palm to be comfortable if you need to, and then lifting that right arm up above the shoulder. So you should feel a nice bit of stretch here in the right hip, the back of the right leg, and just allowing that opening to happen. Holding here, lengthening through the crown. And then we'll bring the right hand down to replace the left on that block or on the floor, bending the right knee very generously, straightening the left leg, drawing left hand across the inside of the right arm and lengthening up tall through that left hand, left fingertips, and then lengthening out through the crown again. Feeling the opening in the back of that left leg and that side of the left leg and hip. And then we'll bring that hand back down. You can move your block off to the side if you like. Let's roll up to a tall mountain here. And close the eyes for a moment and just feel the sensations in the body. Engage the thighs a little to lift the kneecaps. Make sure that the pelvis is neutral so the tailbone isn't poking out to the back or tucked under, but it's just pointing toward the floor. Shoulders are level with one another. They're open. Chin is parallel to the floor. Length is felt between the crown and the tail. And notice the breath here. From here, let's come to the long edge of our mat. Lengthen arms up overhead. Clasp like a steeple grip, so pointer fingers touching one another, thumbs touching one another. Other fingers are clasped around one another. Lengthen through the crown, and we're going to press the hips out to one side as we lean toward the others. Think of lengthening up and then over. So we're opening up that side body here. Holding here for a moment, using those abdominal muscles, really engaging the navel to hold here. And then let's come back to center. And again, lifting up on an inhale. And then pressing the hips out and tilting toward the side on an exhale. Again, we're thinking of moving up and then over. Up and then over. Remembering to breathe here. And then we'll come back to center and we'll lower the arms. And let's grab our block again, if you don't have it right there handy, and put it in front of you. Move the legs about 3.5 to 4 feet apart from one another. And just move the toes slightly inward from the heels. This allows the weight of the legs and the rest of the body to really be concentrated in the outer edges of the feet, and that protects the knees. Draw the navel in here, put the hands on the hips, lengthen up through the crown, and then bend from the hips forward with a flat back into a wide-legged forward bend first. You can open up the elbows, press the elbows maybe up toward the ceiling. So we're opening through the shoulders here. And again, engage that navel. Bend the knees just the slightest bit to hold here in this position. And then we'll drop the forehead down toward the floor. You may like the feeling of putting a block right under the forehead if that works for you today. Sometimes the weight of the forehead on the block feels nice. Excuse me. Of course, you have the option of moving the block and just letting the head hang, if that feels nice. Hands can be wherever are most comfortable, right on the floor, the outsides of the feet, or wrapped around the back of the heels, maybe inside the arches. You decide what feels best. If you want to bend one knee just a bit so that the other leg is straight and gets a nice stretch inside that inner thigh, you can do that in a slow and controlled movement. And then we'll come back to center if you've done that on both sides. Let's bring the hands back to the hips. Open the shoulders so that we're pointing those elbows toward the sky again. Give some bend to the knees here to come out of this position. We'll come to the flat back first, and then we'll come all the way up to standing. Let's turn the right toes out toward the short edge of the mat. And then look down. Notice that right heel should be directly in line with the arch of the left foot. Raise the arms up to shoulder height. We're going to come into our warrior two here. Bend that front knee right over the ankle. If you want to create more space between the feet here, you can walk heel toe, walk the back foot back a bit so that you're able to bend a little bit more, because we want to keep this front knee right over that front ankle and have it tracking as if it were going over the middle toes. We don't want it rolling in or out. We want to protect the knee by keeping it aligned really well. Feel your strength here. This is a really strong pose. The full body is engaged. Take up a lot of space. Really feel your breath. Really feel the belly. Up with breath. And from here, we're going to bend the front arm and bring it to rest right above the knee. And then lift the back arm up above the shoulder. So we've brought the weight of the torso forward over the knee. And we don't want to be pressing too much of our weight into that forearm. We want to be using our midsection here, so you could always lift this front arm up just a bit to make sure it's a steady point, but it's not holding all of our weight. And then let's come back up to warrior two, but straightening the front leg and then lifting that front arm up, reverse triangle here, lowering that left or the back arm, whichever it is you're using, to the thigh. And from here, we're going to bend the front knee again. Grab your block. Keep it handy here. We're going to just slowly walk the back foot up about halfway from where it was. So we want to be able to have the big toe or all the toes on the mat, on that back leg. And this block is going to come right in front of the front foot. Mine's about 12 to 14 inches. We're going to come into a half moon here. And so we're going to bend the front knee. I'm already losing my balance a bit here. This is a balance challenge for sure. You can always adjust where this block is. If you feel like right in front of the foot is not great, you might even bring it off to the side, going from right in front of that foot and then moving off to the side so that it's a little more at a diagonal from the toes. I actually think that's going to work best for me today because I can already feel more balanced. So you can lift that back leg up off the mat, and maybe you only lift it a tiny bit, or maybe you bring it up so that it's extended from the hip and back. And we want to keep that top hip as open as we can. And if it feels good, you can lengthen that left arm up above the left shoulder. Moving the block for me made all the difference in my ability to balance here. And as we build strength in this position, we'll be able to even move the block away and hold this position with the hand just floating above the floor. Let's bend the front knee to come out of this position. We'll lower the leg and the foot behind us. Bravo, or brava, as the case may be. Let's come back into that wide-legged stance. We're going to turn the opposite toes out now. So for me, this is my left foot, turning it out 90 degrees, making sure that my heel and arch are in alignment with one another, lifting the hands up to shoulder height, bending that front knee. And again, I'm going to walk my back foot back just a bit. I need a little more length there. And bending deep into the front knee as you can, making sure that it doesn't go beyond the front ankle. Feeling your strength again here in this warrior two, making sure that the weight of the back leg is concentrated in the outer edge of that foot. To help with that, you can move the heel away slightly, the toes a little closer to the body. Lengthening through the crown, drawing the navel in. Really think of sending energy out through those fingertips, through the feet, through the crown of the head, taking up a lot of space here, creating a lot of energy. And let's bend that front arm and then lengthen the back arm up over the shoulder. So we've brought that front arm right above the kneecap of the front leg. And again, if we want to lift that arm up to make sure we're not pressing too much weight into it. Holding here. Feeling that strength again. Let's lower the back arm, bring the front arm up, straighten the front leg coming into our reverse triangle. Left arm up above the shoulder, maybe glancing up toward the palm. And then we're going to come into that half moon on the other side. So walking that back foot in about halfway distance from where it was. Grabbing your block. And again, I think I'm going to start with my block right in front of my toes by about 12 to 14 inches. And then just moving it off to the side. That's going to create more balance for me. You listen to what your body needs today for your balance. And you may or may not need your block on the same setting that I have. And you'll probably feel this is a very different experience on this side of the body. So just notice how that's different. Move the block where you need it to be today, lifting that big toe up off the mat behind you to a height that is comfortable for you today. Lifting that arm up above the shoulder. Think of pressing out through the heel. Again, we're going to take up a lot of space here. Sending our energy out through the feet, the hands, the crown of the head. Really holding here, engaging the navel, keeping that top hip as open as we can. It's a really great balance exercise here. And then let's bend the front knee and slowly lower the back leg and the back arm. Fantastic. Fun and fantastic, right? All right, let's give the legs just a little bit of a shake here. We've done a lot of work. Maybe even check out the arms a bit. All right, let's come to the short edge of our mat once again. And from here, we're going to lengthen up, big tall stretch. Bring the hands to prayer position and press the bum back as we tilt the head forward, almost as if we're doing a bow. And from here, we're going to begin to draw the navel in, first of all, to support the low back, and then begin to bend the knees coming into a chair. So the knees, by doing it, coming into the position this way, we're keeping the knees a little bit above the ankles. And remember, lengthen up through the crown, draw that navel in. We're just going to go slowly down toward the mat in our chair. And if you need blocks here to help in coming down, you can put blocks behind you to help you come down all the way. Some people use them in front as well. And then we'll come into a Dandasana where our legs are extended right out in front of us. From here, we're going to lengthen arms up above the shoulders. Lengthen through the crown, bend from the hips. Again, bringing nose toward toes, lowering the hands when you reach your edge, flattening the back as much as possible. Keeping that long spine, pressing those sits bones down into the ground. To come out, let's lengthen the arms forward and up, and then lower them down on either side. We're going to come into a Lord of the Fishes pose here. So from this position, there are some options. We can lengthen the right arm up, bring it to the outside of the left leg, bring the left arm up above the shoulder and bring it to rest behind the bum and twist behind us. That's one option. Another option is to bring the left knee to a bend so that the sole of the left foot is resting just on the inside of the right knee, and then we bring it across. And we can twist from here, raising the right arm up, catching the right knee with either the hand or the elbow, depending upon what feels best today. Lengthen up through the left arm again above the shoulder and bringing that left palm down, or fingertips in my case, down behind the bum. That's one option. And then our final option for the full pose is to bend the right leg so that the right heel is touching the base of the left bum cheek. So we have a bent right knee and the right heel is touching the left bum. We bring the left ankle outside and above the right knee. So touching the bottom of the thigh there, just above the kneecap. And again, lifting the right arm up, catching the left knee either with the hand or the right inside of the elbow, raising the left arm up over the shoulder and bringing it back behind. So we've got some options here on how to do this Matsyendrasana, whatever way works best for you today. And if you have the twist happening, which all of these options are offering a twist, notice your shoulders. And we want them to be parallel to the floor. So one shoulder shouldn't be higher than the other. We want them in parallel line with the floor. Lengthen up on the inhale here and maybe glancing a little bit further back on the exhale. And then to come out of this pose, we'll lift the left arm up, bringing it forward again, lengthening the right arm up and behind, and then we will untwist our legs. And rather than walking through all of those again, I'm going to let you decide which one you want to take based on what you did a few moments ago. And you just come right on into, whichever version works best for your body. And get yourself all situated. Notice too that on this side of the body, you may be experiencing this pose in a really different way. It might be far more easy on one side than on the other. You may feel the sensations in really different parts of the body. And again, we want to keep those shoulders parallel to the floor, lengthening up through the crown so that we have a tall spine. We don't want to have a curvy spine in this position. We really want to lengthen up. You may find that you want to take a different version on this side than the other. So just do whatever works for you today. Just honor your body always. Throughout your practice, you want to be honoring what your body is capable of right here, right now. Let's lift that left arm up, coming out, lifting the right arm up, and then we'll untwist the legs here. And from here, we're going to lie down on our side. And you can decide whether you want to extend the arm and pillow the head with the arm. This can be good if you do have any tension in the neck and shoulders that you don't want to aggravate. I would suggest this option. If you want to bring the head up, and one option may be better on one side of the body than the other, so keep that in mind. You can lift the head up and rest it on the hand if you like. And I need a little extra balance when I'm on my side like this, so I bend my bottom knee just slightly. If you can keep the leg straight, fantastic. Lift the leg up, the top leg, and we're going to make some large circles here. Large circles. The front arm, you may want to move that hand forward and away, bring it closer in, however it feels best to help you in your balance. Really engaging the navel here also to help with balance. The next time that the leg is up tall, we're going to reverse our circles. And the next time that the leg is up high, we're going to make some little bitty circles. And I don't know about you, but I'm really feeling this in the outer leg. And then we're going to make some circles in the opposite direction. And once the leg is up high again, we'll lower it slowly down. Ooh, give it a little rub, a little pat there. That's a lot of work on that leg. All right, so from here, we're going to come to the opposite side. You can either roll right over to the opposite side, or you can completely come to the opposite side by moving all the way down to the other edge of the mat like I did. I did that mainly so you can see the front body. Get yourself situated here. If you need to bend that bottom knee a little bit to give you a little extra balance, do so. Get your arm and hand in place. Decide whether to rest the head on the arm or put it up on the hand. And then start to make those big circles with the top leg. Next time that the foot is up high, we will reverse those circles. Big hip circles here, drawing the navel in, again to help with our balance. Next time that the foot is up high, we'll make some smaller circles, one direction, and then opposite direction. And then next time foot is up high, we'll lower that leg down slowly. Give it a pat, maybe a shake. Then let's roll over onto our bellies. Coming into a position where you can lower the forehead down, make a little triangle with the fingertips and the thumbs, and you can rest the forehead right in that little triangle for a moment. And then from here, we're going to bend the right leg, bringing the heel close to the bum. Lifting the head up, we're going to take the left elbow, bending it 90 degrees so that the left forearm is right in front of the face. You can glance directly at it with the eyes. Then we're going to use the right hand to grab the right ankle. And if there's a need for the strap here so that you can wrap the strap around the front of the ankle and hold the strap, that works here too if reaching the ankle with the fingertips is not working for you today. So if you want to grab a strap or a towel, kitchen towel sometimes works as an option. The other option, if you don't have those things handy, is just to keep this leg bent and pressing the heel toward the bum. That works too. If we have the ability to reach that ankle, either with the strap or the fingertips, start to lift from the hip, from the glute, using that glute muscle and the muscles of the back of the leg. Lift the heel toward the ceiling. Flex the foot. Lift the chest and head off the floor and press the foot away and up. So you should feel some opening in the shoulder and definitely some engagement in the front and back of the thigh and the glute. And then let's gently lower down. And then we'll switch sides, bringing the right forearm right in front of the face, bending the left knee so that the heel comes toward the bum, using the strap or the fingertips to grab the left ankle. And holding here for a moment, just creating a little bit of a stretch there in the quad. Before we lift up at all, we can do this stretch. And you might notice that the quad stretch feels really different on one side of the body than the other. And then from here, flex the foot, lifting with the glute and the back of the thigh. Lift up first, pressing the heel toward the ceiling, and then pressing away from the body with the foot and the ankle, pulling the shoulder open, and then lifting the front body up. And then we'll gently lower that down. We want to be careful of the knees on that one. If that ever becomes an issue for the knees, we can always just do the quad stretch. Sometimes the lifting can become a knee issue. It helps to remember to keep the knee and the heel right in alignment also, just as we do with all of those other poses. Let's roll over onto our backs now. Draw both knees close to the chest and give them just a very gentle little hug, very gentle, and rock a little bit from side to side here. This might feel really nice on the low back. Giving it a little loosening massage there. Just rocking back and forth. If it feels good for you, bring the palms right on top of the kneecaps, the fingertips right in front of that soft part of the knee below the kneecap, and then come to stillness and press the knees away slightly, just very gently. We're not really pulling here, just gently pressing the knees away from the body, and that will bring the weight to rest on the sacrum. You may want to rock just a little bit here as well. This also straightens the arms, so the arms are straight from the elbows to the wrists. And just a little rocking back and forth here can feel really nice. Let's lower the feet gently to the mat and extend the legs right out in front of us. Bring the right knee toward the chest. Bring the left hand to the outside of the right knee, and then we're going to roll over onto the outside of the left hip as we draw that knee toward the floor on the left-hand side of the body. So we're doing a supine twist here. You can lengthen the right arm out from the right shoulder. If it is possible, you want to try to keep the right shoulder on the mat, which might mean you don't twist quite as far, but ideally we want to keep both shoulders on the mat. And then you can glance over toward that extended right palm. Bending that bottom knee if that feels nice. And just holding here. Let's roll back over onto our backs, extending the right leg out. We're going to bring that left knee into the chest. Bringing the right hand to the outside of the left knee and just rolling over onto the right hip as we bring the left knee over toward the right-hand side of the room, toward the floor. And again, we want to keep that left shoulder on the floor. It might mean we come back out of the twist just slightly. And then we can also turn the head, if it feels good, to glance toward that left palm. Closing the eyes here, noticing how this feels in the hip, in the torso, in the neck. Just noticing all these parts of the body that we have engaged here in this supine twist. And let's come back over onto our backs. And let's lift the knees, bend the knees rather, so that they're pointing toward the ceiling. The soles of the feet are on the floor. And then we're going to bring the knees closer to the chest, the feet, soles of the feet facing the ceiling. And then you can either grab maybe the big toes, or maybe you even take the strap and put it across the arches of the feet. We're just coming into a happy baby here. So we're opening up wide, opening the feet and the knees wide. You can maybe grab the outside edges of the feet. Think of lengthening the tailbone toward the wall that's in front of you. Lengthening through the crown. You can rock back side to side here if you're using the strap. Across the arches of the feet, you can do the rock with that as well. Just feeling that opening and that relaxation and that little bit of massage on the back here too if you're rocking back side to side. All good stuff. Just imagine that little baby rocking back and forth side to side, carefree, just exploring their body. And that's what we're doing here on the mat each day that we come to practice, exploring what our body can do for us today. All right, let's bring the legs down into our full Shavasana here. We're going to take a couple minutes to really absorb all of the benefits of the practice that we just had here together. And relax into your Shavasana. Just be and breathe. Let any thoughts that come to mind pass through without attachment or judgment. You may want to do a silent body scan from toes to head. I'll let you choose if you'd like to do that. And you can notice any sensations in the body as well. Just be and breathe. I'll let you know when to come back to full awareness. Let's begin to bring a little movement to the fingers and the toes. Maybe some circles for the ankles and wrists. Maybe even a full body stretch with arms up above the shoulders. Pressing through the palms and through the heels. And then we're going to roll gently over onto one side. And keeping the eyes closed, we'll pillow the head with the arm here and take one full breath cycle here on our side. And then we'll press up to seated, again, keeping the eyes closed as long as we can, taking the benefits of this concentration on the body. Once we're in our comfortable seated position, let's draw attention to the sensations in the body and just notice, how does it feel different? If it does, feel any different in this position now than when we first came to practice? Do we notice any new sensations in the body? Do we notice anything different about our breathing? And do we notice any shifts in the emotions or our state of mind? Drawing attention to the spine, to those points in the body where we're grounded securely beneath us, and to the breath. Let's bring bring the hands to the heart space in prayer position. Let's chant Om here together once. Take a big full belly inhale. Om. Drawing the thumbs up to the forehead. May we have peace in our thoughts. Bringing thumbs to rest on the lips. May we have peace in our words. Finally, hands down to the heart space. May we have peace in our hearts. The light in me recognizes and honors the light in you. And I bow as I say, Namaste. Thank you so much for being here to practice with me today. I really hope this practice has brought some peace and tranquility into your life today, and that you will take that peace and tranquility with you wherever you go and infuse the spaces that you enter with that, because the entire world needs a lot more of it. So thanks again for being here with me to practice. I can't wait to practice with you again soon. Namaste.